Hello, everyone. This is Dan Singer, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the New York Knicks, some of the team insight, and just give you guys some basketball analysis and what I believe the Knicks should do after their season is done and what I believe they should do for their future. As we all know, the Knicks are currently out of the playoff spot. They have had a really disappointing season. Expectations were not met for this team after Phil Jackson acquired many star players such as Derrick Rose via a trade. They signed Joakim Noah to a 4-year, $72 million contract along with Courtney Lee to a 4-year, $50 million contract. And those signings really haven't helped out this team very well. I think it was really from the start, when you look at this team, all these new players were thrown in before the season started, and when you have like a brand new team, it's hard to develop chemistry and to be able to figure out ways to play with one another and to orchestrate good basketball on and off the court. And it could be hard sometimes, especially when when some players are injured, when some players have off-court issues. As we all know, Derrick Rose, he had some court issues back in October, so he wasn't able to come to training camp right away and to practice with these guys. And, Joakim Noah had an injury, so he was off the court as well. So you have these different, excuses or different factors that play in as to why this team never really clicked from the start. And a lot of Knicks fans, including myself, thought that there was a realistic chance that if they put the puzzle pieces together with Carmelo, with Kristaps Porzingis and Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose, that this team would be a playoff team. Realistically, I really thought on paper, their statistics, what these players have done in their own past on separate teams, I thought coming together that they would be a playoff team. But clearly this past season has shown that nothing on paper matters, and what matters is whether players can come together and play well to win. And that's not what the Knicks did this past season. So it's definitely a letdown, considering the fact that this was a team that a lot of people had high hopes for, including President Phil Jackson, including General Manager Steve Mills, along with head coach Jeff Hornacek, and of course all the other players. Carmelo Anthony had high expectations too. He was very excited, all these acquisitions coming in, and it really just never really worked out. So when looking at the roster and what changes I think the Knicks can make for next season, they're going to have some cap space. They'll be able to sign some marquee free agents, hopefully, one or two, or bring in some good quality players to maybe help this team. But I really think it's most important that they worry about rebuilding around Kristaps Porzingis. The 21-year-old is their future. He is an uprising star. His numbers have improved drastically from his rookie season to his sophomore year. And he's the guy that they need to focus around. It's not much Carmelo Anthony anymore. Carmelo is 32 years old. His contract has about 2 years left, but clearly the Knicks have not done anything the last 4 years with the focus being around Carmelo. So they're going to have to figure out how can they rebuild around Porzingis rather than around an aging superstar in Carmelo Anthony. Now, the Knicks have some nice young pieces on the roster already. Of course, we mentioned that they do have Kristaps Porzingis, but they also have Willy Hernangomez, who is a young 22-year-old center from Spain, and he's also a rookie this year as well. And he stepped in after Joakim Noah had an injury, and a lot of people were surprised about how well he played. He played at a very, very he played at a level that I don't think anybody was expecting him to play. This is a guy that's tough down low, big body, banger on the rebounds, on offensive boards, defensive boards. He's getting your rebounds. And a lot of people were surprised about how offensively gifted he is. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that his jump shot is amazing. I'm not saying that his post game is terrific, but there's something there. And especially for this kid who's only 22 years old, who was a second round pick, and not many people expected him to come in and start or anything like that, he's done a pretty good job. So I think when you look at, they have some nice pieces there. They have some nice young pieces, and I think even their other acquisitions that Phil Jackson signed last year, like Courtney Lee, I think they can be some good pieces to put together for the future. Now, they do have a first-round pick this year. Last year, they didn't have a first-round pick, so they weren't able to draft anyone, and they weren't really able to get any younger or really get anyone with a lot of upside or talent. But this year, as of right now, they are the 6th worst team in the league, which means that they have the 6th best odds of the lottery. So they had the 6th best odds of going number 1 in the lottery. And this draft class is loaded. The 2017 NBA draft class is loaded with a lot of talent, especially point guards. We're talking from Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball. We're also looking at players such as Dennis Smith Jr., Malik Monk. These are guys that normally could potentially slip to the Knicks at number 6, and they would normally get picked maybe like 1, 2, or 3 in other drafts. So this draft is so loaded that they'll probably be able to get a good quality pick, and they can really use that pick to help build around Porzingis and Hernangomez and some other young players on this team. So let's say now that the Knicks, they draft, let's just say Dennis Smith Jr., the point guard from North Carolina State, a superior athlete, maybe the most athletic point guard in this upcoming draft. A guy that can take the ball to the rack, has a great motor, hardworking, and just an extreme athlete. We're talking comparisons close to Russell Westbrook here. If they are able to draft a good point guard, they'll have a good point guard, they'll have Courtney Lee as a shooting guard, and then they'll have the 2 big guys down low with Hernangomez and Porzingis. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Now, we all know about the trade rumors that have been going on the last couple months swirling around Carmelo Anthony. Now, maybe, just maybe, these trade rumors have affected the way that he's played and affected the way the team has played, and maybe that's why they haven't really performed from what we expected them to. So they have a tough decision ahead of them. Now, Carmelo can get traded, but he has a no trade clause, which means that he ultimately can decide on whether he wants to get traded or where he wants to get traded to. So the Knicks don't really have all that much that power to move him or not. So they're going to have to work with Carmelo, find a good place for him. And I think a lot of people have been talking about the Los Angeles Clippers. When you look at the Clippers, they have Doc Rivers as head coach. They have Chris Paul, a really good friend of Carmelo Anthony. They have DeAndre Jordan. They have Blake Griffin. So you put Carmelo Anthony with those players. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, if you're Carmelo, you're thinking, you know what, we actually might have a good shot of maybe winning the West and maybe, being contender for the championship, rather than being on the Knicks team where they're young, they're still dysfunctional, and it looks like they're trying to rebuild now. So if I'm Carmelo Anthony, I have to say to myself, you know what, I want to get the hell out of New York. I want to leave this place. This is not really, I tried the last couple years, my whole career, I've been trying to get the Knicks to the championship. Well, the problem with the Knicks is they've only won one playoff series since 2000. One playoff series since 2000. That's not very good. I mean, I understand that he hasn't gotten all the help in the world, but the Knicks cannot win with Carmelo Anthony. They haven't made the postseason in 4 years. They just can't do it right now with him. He's 32 years old. Yes, he was an all-star this past year, but we're starting to see these numbers decline. We're starting to see the injuries get to him. He's not playing as much anymore. His minutes are starting to go down. So if you're the Knicks, you need to move him. And if you are Carmelo, you have to say to yourself, I'm 32 years old. I'm still near the prime of my career. Why don't I just go to a contending team now and try to get a championship when I can? If you're the Knicks, this is great because you'll be able to potentially get maybe like 2 solid young players along with maybe a first-round pick. You can use those assets to build for your future. You trade Carmelo Anthony, you dump his salary, now you even have more cap space for the future. So I think that's what the Knicks are going to do. These are going to be the headlines coming in. Their draft pick, along with what are they going to do with Carmelo Anthony. There's going to be some other moves this summer that they're going to have to address and they're going to have to think about. But I think those are the big headline decisions they're going to have to think about in the coming months as to what route they want to go. Are they going to rebuild? So are they going to tank? Are they just going to, start over? Or are they really going to continue to try to figure out a way to win now with Carmelo, even though they have all this young talent? It's going to be very interesting to see what they do this offseason.